Right. Quite enough silliness, isn't it, Ted? Yes! Speaking of silliness, today we're going to do a fact check of a fact checker proposed. This is one Gil Carvalho, PhD, MD, who is one of these characters who has several qualifications but no actual experience in practice, it seems. As far as I'm aware, Gil Carvalho has published not one single peer-reviewed article, despite having a PhD, and I'm also not aware of him ever seeing a single patient as a practicing physician either. He's one of these guys that did some qualifications and has gone straight to social media to talk about how much he knows all about this, that and the other thing. Anywho, before we get into dealing with Gil Carvalho's fact check of Dr. Robert Lustig, or Lustig if you like, let's have a quick update from Pimatia, the independent sovereign nation, which we enjoy here. Lambing has begun in the last couple of days. So far we have had 5 lambs that have been born, and the score is as follows. 1 of the 5 lambs has stood up, is trotting around the paddock, feeding off its mother, and doing what a lamb should do. 2 of them are currently in postnatal lamb care on the living room floor in front of the radiator, each having the benefit of the knee and the cuddle and bottle feeding of one of 2 nieces. And my phone is phoning. Shall I deal with it? Let's, just to see. It's Pim! Hello, Pim, you're on speaker and we're live on the interwebs. Yeah, can I help you?
Yes, I still don't have an email from Bunnings.
Okay, just front up, give them your name and they should be ready for you.
Okay.
All right.
I'll do that then. Okay.
Cool bananas.
Bye.
Right, chill. Right. Good that we can deal with such things in the real world. Yes. So 2 of 5 lambs in the living room, on the floor, in a towel, on the knee of a niece with bottle feeding. That's lucky. Howdy do, Dave. You're late. And as such, report to Field Marshal Ted after class. Down the back by that small guillotine, if you wouldn't mind. We're just getting started, mind, so that's cool. And sadly, unfortunately, the other 2 lambs departed this mortal coil almost immediately upon birth. Neither one of them seemed viable for whatever reason. So that's sad. But I think perhaps our strike rate on rearing lambs will get better as the lambing progresses. So, excuse me, bit of dust and pollen in the air, bit of hay fever, what with it being spring and stuff. Interesting. Yeah, so that's what's been going on here. Also, ongoing works are going around the repair of the damage to the property here, including the rebuilding of the culvert driveway and other bits and bobs going on. If you want updates on a regular-ish basis on what's happening in Pimatia, you should look on IG, and you are searching for @BART_KAY_nutrition. And you will find lots and lots of Pimatia updates in the form of short videos made by yours truly, outlining and chronicling what's going on in Pimatia. So there's that. If you'd like to follow Ted, Lord Edward Yellow, you can follow him on X. And in that case, you're looking for @HRH_Ted, TED. And he will tell you all about next Tuesday and how everybody belongs next Tuesday, and how everybody's wrong about everything, including Carolie's, a thing that Gil is also going to get wrong in this video here, no doubt, because that's what goes on in these videos where fact checkers who are not actually appraised of the facts like to come online and make videos pretending to be appraised of the facts, despite the fact that they are not. Anyway, that's plenty of time for latecomers to come rolling in. We've got about 50 bigots up in here at this stage, which is good considering that this is an off-schedule sort of, I think I'll do a live stream today thing in a unusual time slot for me. It's raining outside, so there's not much to do. So I thought we'd fact-check the fact-checker. And the fact-checker in this case is one Gil Carvalho. He's trying his best to fact check one Dr. Lustig on various comments about things. And so what I thought I would do is fact check the fact checker. Isn't that fun? But before I do that, let's just see who's up in the house. Field Marshal Dave of the Meat Militia was first in the house. Well done, Dave. Bit of discipline up in here is good. The only thing I would say to you, though, Dave, is you're not here, son. You're AWOL. Where are you? Why are you not here? There are things to do here in Pimatia, and they're not getting done because you're not here. Yeah, who else is up in here? We have the Feral Grandma. Always good to see some Feral Grandma up in here. Question from Secret Demon. We won't be answering questions today. This is not a Q&A session. This is a fact-checking the fact-checker session. So, yes, we'll do Q&A when I get back to that at some point, if I do, because, frankly, they don't get good viewership or watchership or whatever it's called. Doesn't get clicks. So maybe the Q&A sessions have lived their useful lifespan for now, at least until we perhaps get a lot more people subscribed to the channel, which doesn't seem to also be in line with what YouTube would like for me. They would like me not to get more, it would seem. Master Chief Dave of the Meat Militia. Master Chief Burgess, good to see you in the house. Late as usual, as I said, so you'll have to report to Ted after class. We have Angela here, good to see. Nick Morpeth's in the house, lovely. Deborah's here. Dr. Volker Menzel, nice. Greetings from Germany, yes. And Rachel England, who enjoys my program. Well, that shows very poor judgment on your part, Rachel. It really does. Anyway, let's crack on. Just kidding. No, it doesn't. It means you are discerning and sensible, like most of my viewers. All right, let's hear what Gil Carvalho has to say about Robert Lustig and see if it's worth hearing or not. Right. The usual caveats. I haven't watched this through. I don't know what he's going to say. This is a 36-minute video, so this might take several hours to fact check. We'll break it down later at some point into shorter videos when we're repurposing it. I will pause often and make commentary and correct things that I think need correcting, whatever, if that's triggering for you. If you don't like that, you're in the wrong place. You should click off now. If you do like that sort of thing, then stay here with me and Ted. Isn't that right, Ted? Yes! Ted agrees. Of course he does. All right, Gil.
Dietary fat definitely increases your LDL. No argument. It's
That's false straight away, Robert.
true.
It's actually not true. Absolutely nailed it. Absolutely spot on.
Am I debunking? Yes, no?
No. So this logic is basically wrong. It's a little embarrassing if I'm being honest. Got a lot of requests from you guys to take a
All right, well, this is going to be fun. Let's see.
look at Dr. Robert Lustig from UCSF and his views. So as usual, we reached out, we invited him on multiple times actually over many months. I don't think it's going to happen. It seems at least not anytime soon.
Tell you what, though, Gil, if you're looking for someone who absolutely will front up and would like to have a discussion with you live online about some of your, frankly, quite inane ideas, that's me, son. You can email me. I will front up, happily, actually, and have a discussion with you live, on camera, to deal with your nonsense. Because there's a lot of it. And I've dealt with it many, many times in pre-recorded videos. So here's me reaching out to you, Gil. I'm here. So's the bear. We're here. We're ready for you. Anytime you like.
So we're going to go over some of his appearances, some of his online content, and his general ideas. He has a talk on YouTube that has 25 million views. Outstanding for scientific content. It's very unusual. It's an older talk from about 10, 15 years ago. So
Before the fuckery.
we'll take a look at the main ideas in there, and then we'll look at some newer content as well.
I'm going to tell you tonight a story. By the end
I
of
love stories.
the story, I hope I will have debunked the last 30 years of nutrition information in
You mean disinformation, Robert?
America.
That's pretty bold. Hopefully you can back that up.
Well, anybody actually could pretty well back that one up, because the disinformation from the ring-fenced area of ideology known as human nutrition science in the last, 80 years really, is all just that. It's a ring-fenced area of ideology. It's pustulous, excremental, anti-scientific nonsense, Gil. So there you go. Perhaps you'd like to come online and discuss that with me and tell me how your epididdly-doodly-mology, though, is actual science and stuff, and I'll correct you on that. Yeah? It'll be great. It'll get good viewer numbers too. I've got this thing I do, if you don't know, Gil, where I play this character of being a grumpy old professor and, there's a bit of angst and stuff involved, you'll love it. Or not.
Sure enough, we are all eating more now than we did 20 years ago. Teen boys are eating 275 calories more.
No, they're not, because nobody is eating any calories ever. That is against the laws of physics as we understand them. Still, doesn't matter how many times imbeciles come online and say calories, though, they are still wrong. No, we are not consuming any calories whatsoever, not one, ever.
American adult males are eating 187 calories more per day.
Nope.
American adult females are eating 335 calories more per day.
Nope.
No question.
No, I've just corrected you on that, Robert. Absolutely, there is a question, and the question is it possible, physically, by the laws of physics, as we understand them currently, for a person to consume any calories whatsoever, ever? And the answer is no. No, it is not possible, so they're not consuming any at all, and neither are they consuming more than they used to, because they still didn't used to be able to consume any back then either. It's still zero, still. Okay? Are we done with that? Thanks, Dave. Just PayPal'd me 100 Canukistanian loonies for the Tasmanian Valley Relief Fund. Love it. The Tasman Valley Relief Fund. Yes, we need it. Ask Ted not to go too hard on me. No, I'm going to tell him to go even harder. It's worth the loonies. Yes. Yes. Ted loves his administrative corrections, doesn't he, Ted? Yes, I love it. I'm going to spank Dave silly. Ha 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 ha. I think you're in trouble, Dave, frankly. But not as much trouble as Gil is going to find himself in, I would suggest. He hasn't said anything yet, mind. It's just Robert being wrong.
We're all eating more.
Well, yes, we're all eating more food, yes, but not calories. We're not eating any of those at all, still.
The question is, why?
Yeah, and it's probably only gotten worse since he gave this talk. Obviously, calories have increased.
No, they haven't, Gil, still. You cannot consume any calories ever still. Nobody has ever consumed a single calorie in the history of the universe, and they never will, because it is still physically impossible to do so.
Dramatically over time. On the question of why, there's a lot of interesting work by Kevin Hall and others that's...
Right, so anyone that would tap Kevin Hall as remotely a competent scientist is actually betraying their own complete lack of scientific integrity, scientific competence, and knowledge of science and what goes off in science, Gil. Kevin Hall, are you kidding me? Are you stoned? Perhaps you'd like to discuss that with me when we have our face-to-face.
More recent than this talk that he gave. So ultra-processed foods have a lot to do with why we overeat. And there's a lot of research trying to figure out what is it about ultra-processed foods. Is it just a caloric density?
No, because there is no caloric density. Calories are brought into being the instant they are released to entropy. Before that, they do not exist. Sorry about that, just the physics again.
Is it other factors that cause us to overeat?
I call this slide very specifically the Coca-Cola conspiracy. This over here, 1915, the first standardized bottle of Coca-Cola out of Atlanta. In 1955, after World War II, and sugar became plentiful again and wasn't being rationed, we have the appearance of the 10-ounce bottle. Then in 1960, the ever ubiquitous 12-ounce can. And of course, today, this over here is the single unit of measure. Right, 20 ounces. And then, of course, over here we have the 7-Eleven Big K Thirst Buster, Big Gulp, whatever you want to call it. 44 ounces worth 57 pounds of fat per year. And if that wasn't bad enough, my colleague Dr. Dan Hale at the University of Texas San Antonio tells me that down there they got a Texas-sized Big Gulp.
Let's deal with this one from Fructose. Isn't sitting in a hot tub whirlpool induced the raise of the body temperature? Good England, love it. Thus the definition for consuming calories. Yes, I see what your question is there. The answer is no. In that case, if you're sitting in hot water, you are absorbing a number of calories from the hot water to your body, consistent with that water being hotter than your body temperature. However, your ability to retain those is none, because they will be then emitted randomly very quickly, once again, to entropy. Because you cannot bring a calorie to rest in any inertial frame of reference, because a calorie is manifest as a photon, or a series of photons, I should say. A number of photons make up a calorie, and they cannot be brought to rest in any inertial frame of reference, ergo cannot be consumed. They can be momentarily absorbed, but then they are re-emitted again. So I hope that answers that question. Yes, the feral grandma don't eat no calories. No, of course you don't, because nobody does. You did have some tuna though. Good for you. Yes, it is a rainy day here in Pimatia too, hence why the live stream, because I can't do any work outside, because I would melt in the rain. So I would. Good. All right, let's carry on with what Robert's saying.
60 ounces of Coca-Cola, a Snickers bar, and a bag of Doritos, all for 99 cents.
The groans of the audience.
Yes, we could see that, Gil. That's what that was. We understand what that is.
Yeah, the amount of ultra-processed foods that we eat nowadays, Western populations and in the U.S. in particular, is crazy. The last stats I saw, over half, most of the calories that people eat in average in the U.S. are from ultra-processed foods. I think it was close
They still don't eat any calories though, Gil. Not one ever. Still.
to 60%, and it's going up by almost 1% every year. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Each additional sugared sweetened drink increase over a 19-month follow-up period in kids increased their BMI by this much and their odds-risk ratio for obesity by 60%.
Yeah, no odds-risk ratio though, because there is no extant available experimental science that can inform us on risk of any outcome, heart health-wise, in human beings over any period of time still. They do not exist. To use the terminology risk or risk ratio or hazard, completely inappropriate, anti-scientific crackpottery of the highest order. Funky.
Okay? That's a prospective study on soft drinks and obesity.
Yes, so prospective studies, for those that don't know, are what happens is the researchers identify a population or a subpopulation of interest. They recruit that population. Then what they do is they follow that population of people without any control, any experimental intervention of any kind, and they ask those people to respond to them on a regular basis as to their outcomes in terms of several various different things, for whatever that study's about. Then what they do is they believe absolutely everything that's told to them by the respondents on their respondent survey data forms without any question, because they haven't observed or controlled, so they have to. And then what they do is they adjust what the actual observations were to something other than that on the basis of a thing called multivariate regression, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about in this video, which is completely inappropriate 99 times out of 100 and actually just reduces the veracity and the goodness, I suppose, or utility of the information or disinformation thus promulgated to zero. In fact, anti-scientific crackpottery, sloppy work, nothing remotely akin to science, actually, ridiculous. And anyone that says otherwise clearly doesn't understand the disciplines of science, what science is, or how it should be done. Okay? That's pretty much the nutshell of what this video is going to be about, I imagine, because this is a video that features one Gil Carvalho who thinks this is science. And also, you know, just to top off, you know, just to make absolutely clear and certain that this bloke doesn't know what the hell he's talking about at all, Gil, that is, he's friends with Chris McCaskill from Viva Longevity, who also thinks himself to be a scientist despite having not one single peer-reviewed publication in his name whatsoever, and also thinks himself to be an expert in the epidemiology of health science on the basis that he's done some epidemiology in the field of tracing environmental toxins in a physical environment setting, as if that's remotely the same thing. It isn't, Chris. But that's for another day. Chris is another one who doesn't have the stones, the gear, the intestinal fortitude to front me for a live discussion about his ideas on science. I wonder why. I really don't. I mean, I've got a much better chance of dealing with either of these two characters than Richard Burgess, because neither of these guys can bench press 415 pounds, can they?
The real deal.
Yeah.
The real deal. This is a prospective cohort study, said Robert Lustig just then. This is the real deal. Okay, we're done with Robert Lustig as a remotely competent commentator on the science, right there. And Gil would be absolutely right to tear him 7 new assholes for that. I wonder if he will.
This has only gotten
He won't.
clearer. We have a lot of recent evidence, recent studies that came out after this talk. The link between soda and weight gain and obesity and other chronic diseases is quite strong.
Okay, What is quite strong, Gil? Because, you see, scientists communicate about the surety of things using empirical outcome statistics. And quite strong is not one of those, Gil. What you've just given us is your opinion. And frankly, your opinion is that Chris McCaskill is remotely competent as a commentator on science, so therefore you're not. Also, you think epidemiology is science, so you're not competent, frankly. So what's your opinion worth, sunshine? About 2/3 of 5/8 of 7/9 of fuck all. What's next?
If you take the soft drinks away. So this was the fizzy drink.
A lot of things are associated with a lot of things, aren't they, kids? Sunburn is associated with the sale of ice creams. Does that mean we deal with sunburn by outlawing ice cream? Shark attacks, same deal. The more ice cream you sell, the more shark attacks occur at any given beach resort. So what do? Again, the ice cream. Must be. How about the fact that fire crews are ubiquitous at forest fires? So let's deal with the forest fire scourge by outlawing fire crews, because clearly they're the cause, being that they're associated. Do you get how stupid this is, if you didn't already? I hope you do. Should we carry on?
Study from Christchurch, England, James et al., British Medical Journal, where they went into schools and they took the soda machines out.
Yeah, they probably didn't actually go into schools.
Okay, just like we did here in California. Okay, we haven't seen the data yet, but they went and did it for a year. So the prevalence of obesity in the intervention school stayed absolutely constant, no change, whereas the prevalence of obesity in the control schools, where nothing changed, continued to rise over the year.
Yeah, that's a pretty striking result. Over 1 year, the kids who the soda got removed from their schools.
Yeah, we heard what he said, Gil. What he didn't give us is any outcome statistics or any way to gauge the veracity of this information from what he's just said. He just said, here is a study that shows. We don't know if it shows that or not, in fact, actually.
Their rate of obesity is flat, didn't go up anymore. And the kids who were still drinking soda, who still had soda available.
Fuck, the echo's good in here, isn't it? Thanks, Gil. We heard him.
Looks like it went from about 20% to 27% of kids with obesity. In 1 year, that's crazy. 7% of kids became obese over that year. That's really striking.
How about type 2 diabetes? Are soft drinks the cause of type 2 diabetes? Well, this study from JAMA in 2004 looked at the relative risk.
Oh, did we just say cause there, Robert Lustig? I think we just did. Haven't we covered that one already? I know the echo is good in here, but let's have it again. There are no studies extant anywhere in the literature, anywhere on this planet, that can inform us on the cause of any hard health outcome in human beings as it relates to any aspect of dietary intervention whatsoever still. None. It is completely inappropriate to use the term cause. Still. What's next?
Ratio of all soft drinks.
Risk ratio. Again, that is a cause and effect inference. Risk infers a mechanism. What is it, Robert? Where is the mechanism? Where is the underpinning experimental science that backs this assertion up that you have a mechanism? Still absent? Right.
Drinks, cola, fruit punch, and found a very statistically significant trend.
Okay, so a statistically significant trend. What does that tell us about clinical utility? Fuck all. Nothing at all. Statistical significance on trend lines is around largely the sample size and not the effect size, in fact. A competent statistician knows this.
Of sugared soft drinks, fruit aids, etc., causing type 2 diabetes. And you know, we've got just as...
Again, causing. Causing, you say. It's only appropriate to say that sugar causes diabetes if you correctly define diabetes as elevated blood glucose and nothing else. Then you have a mechanism, don't you? The disease is elevated blood glucose. The mechanism is putting carbohydrates down your neck that break down immediately and quickly to carbohydrates and are added to your bloodstream. That's cause and effect. We're okay with that. Good.
A problem with type 2 diabetes as we do with obesity for the same reasons.
Yeah, and it's probably a causal link. I mean, the best predictor of type 2 diabetes is overweight, putting on excess fat mass. As populations become bigger, more obese, we see rate of type 2 diabetes going up. So
Yeah, but which came first, the chicken or the egg? Are people obese because they're consuming too many carbohydrates? Or are they unable to deal with carbohydrates metabolically as much as the next person might be for another reason? Cause and effect has not been established here absolutely, apart from the clear mechanistic demonstration I've just given you about what the cause of diabetes is. Because actually the cause is the consumption of carbohydrates.
it's probably not a coincidence. The same foods that are causing people to put on weight raise risk of type 2 diabetes.
No, again, the statement around risk, there are no studies that can inform us on risk, still, Gil. Not one, anywhere.
So what's in soft drinks? Well, in America, it's this stuff, right?
High fructose corn syrup. Yeehaw!
High fructose corn syrup.
Yes, a toxin, a hepatic toxin, a vastly pro-inflammatory substance, it seems, completely unnecessary. Not 1 single gram is required in the human diet ever. Not good stuff, absolutely.
Everybody's heard of it, right? And currently, we are consuming 63 pounds per person per year.
I'm not.
Every one of us.
No, Robert. Absolutely false. False statement. Rubbish.
63 pounds of high fructose corn syrup.
Ben. You better report to Ted after class down the back for a bit of you're a naughty boy. Don't come late to class. Be here on time. Even though you don't know when class is going to be. It's random. You have to be ready 24/7 to come online. Oops. Class time.
Not every one of us. I don't consume it, or
There you
almost
go.
none.
There you go.
So somebody's having my 63 pounds. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. 63 pounds. That's like
What it means is on average. Okay, not every one of us, because, yeah. I mean, that's just straightforward, sloppy verbiage. Really poor.
30 kilos of high fructose corn syrup a year, average per person in the U.S. is crazy.
Right.
Notice the glucose is a 6-membered ring. The fructose is a 5-membered ring. They are
Yeah, see how they're not the same.
not the same. Believe me,
Yeah.
they're not the same.
Yeah, you said that just then, Robert. We got it the first time.
That's what this whole talk is about, is how they're not the same.
I wonder, though, is there any information out there as to whether these are the same or not? Because I'm confused. I'm easily confused. I wish I wasn't so easily confused. Somebody please tell me whether they are, in fact, the same or not. We need some clarification.
Yeah, so I think this is one of his main ideas, that fructose is this especially toxic molecule. It's interesting. We'll see what evidence he's seen for that, or what his specific ideas are, because from what I've seen, the data is pretty mixed, and there's a lot of things where we don't see a ton of difference for human health effects between.
Effects, you say? Effect is the conjugate of what exactly, Gil? Oh, yes. Cause. Cause and effect. So no, Gil. Wrong again.
Glucose and fructose.
High fructose corn syrup and sucrose are exactly the same. They're both equally bad. Okay? They're both dangerous. They're both poison.
I also agree, and this is interesting because now we have this controversy with RFK wanting to replace the high fructose corn syrup in Coca-Cola with cane sugar. So
Well, that would be a good move. It wouldn't actually solve all the world's problems, and it's a step in the right direction, but it's not the answer to the problem. I agree with RFKJ that, in fact, high fructose corn syrup ought to be removed from the food supply entirely and immediately. Absolutely. And if that means in favour of cane sugar, that is a win. Because you see, here's the thing. Cane sugar is not as toxic to the liver, immediately toxic to the liver, as is fructose. Isn't that interesting? So it would be a win to do that, although not, it would be a battle won rather than the war. I hope that makes that clear.
it's basically a replacement of high fructose corn syrup with sucrose. And the argument
You just said that.
is it's more natural, it's going to be better for you.
No, that's not the argument at all.
The exact criticism that most scientists made of that
Coming up, Ansel Keys. I mean, insul keys. Can't wait for that.
swap was that it was just marketing, that it was kind of a cosmetic change, because it doesn't make a big difference which type of refined sugar you have in Coca-Cola. And it sounds like Lustig completely agrees with that. He's basically saying the same thing, that high fructose corn syrup and sucrose are virtually identical.
But they're not. And he actually didn't say that, Gil. He said they are not the same. He said that several times for stupid people like me that can't hear things the first time. Clearly, he didn't say it enough times for people as stupid as you are, Gil, to get it. He said the exact opposite of what you've just claimed he said, in fact.
In the mid-1970s, we learned that dietary fat raised your LDL.
So fucking what?
If dietary fat is A,
And it's not actually true, universally. It depends on what kind of fat we're talking about as to what effect we note in a person's LDL on average. And having made all those observations, still the response from me, someone who understands lipidology, cardiovascular pathophysiology, etc., my answer is still the same. So fucking what?
LDL is B, we learned that A led to B. Okay, dietary fat definitely increases your LDL, no argument.
That's wrong, Robert Lustig. That's just false.
It's true.
It's actually not true. So some...
My God, I'm agreeing with Gil fucking Carvalho now. What is wrong with the world today? What is wrong with the world, other than it's been raining and 4 out of the 5 lambs born here in Pimatia in the last few days aren't doing it right. Only one of them stood up and is trotting around the paddock and suckling off its mother. 2 of them are in remedial care on the living room floor in front of the radiator with bottles and cuddles and the laps of nieces, and 2 of them have died. That's some bullshit odds, isn't it? I hope it gets better.
fats even lower LDL. Walnuts, avocados, olives, olive oil. Those are foods that mainly contain fats that tend to lower LDL. And then things like butter, lard, fatty meats, those tend to raise LDL. So
Yes, you're correct, Gil, but so fucking what?
it's less about the amount of fat and more about the type of fats, the quality.
Oh, well, hang on. Type and quality is not the same distinction. And Gil, I wouldn't trust you as far as I can throw you as to what is good quality and poor quality as relates fats. Because you are also of the mindset that LDL is somehow cholesterol. It isn't. And that it is causal in heart disease in some way, which it isn't. So, again, your opinion on these matters, well, it doesn't hold a lot of water.
Of the fats.
This was a battle royal back in the 1970s. Okay? This was not a simple thing. There were people lined up on both sides of this story. Okay?
Let's hold for another telephone discussion. Hello, you're still live and I'm still online, but yes, carry on.
Yeah, I'm at Bunnings and they can't see an order. So it was definitely ordered in my name.
Yes.
And what was it?
Okay, there were 2 rollers for a corrugated iron roof.
Okay, so 2 rollers for a corrugated iron roof.
Yes, there were 2 tubes of silicon.
2 tubes of silicon.
Yes.
And anything else?
Yes, there was one other item. It was 500, I think it was, or 250 boxes of roofing screws.
Right, okay. Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Yep.
bye.
Yep. Oh, I love it when a plan doesn't come together. Anyways, there it is. You can't get the help, it seems.
So this over here is a book. 1972 it came out. And it was called Pure, White, and Deadly. It's all about sugar. But on the other side, we had this guy over here. Okay, his name was Ansel Keys. Anybody
Yes, Insul Keys, yes.
heard of him?
Everybody.
He did this study, along with other people around the world, called the 7 Countries Study.
Yeah, badly named, really, because he actually didn't study countries at all. He studied small cohorts of around about 1,000 people from each of a number of countries, and it was a number larger than 7, in fact. The published data are from the countries they decided to publish, rather than all the data they collected. It's called cherry picking. It's academic misconduct of the highest order. This is not a controversy. This is not just me saying this. Go and check it out. These are the facts. This is the historical timeline of this thing. We know about it. It's not, I'm not just being overly controversial here or knocking it for no reason. This is not science either.
Okay? Very famous, front page of Time magazine in 1980.
No, I don't want to play battleships. Yes, perhaps she should look under Pam Johnson. Perhaps. Yes, the shopping list. Well done, Bunnings, for losing the order. Well done.
So he's talking about this debate back in the 60s and 70s over the causes of heart disease. And these two camps, one that argued that sugar, sucrose, purified, refined sugars were a cause or the cause of heart disease.
Again, cause and effect, not established. Sorry about that. No.
And then the other camp argued that saturated fat was the cause. Of course, we now know from a lot...
That's not established either. In fact, if anything, there are 5 major meta-analyses available on saturated fat, or at least reported saturated fat in respondent data sets, and about 5 meta-analyses, all with multi-million person-years of follow-up. And they all say that there is actually no meaningful relationship, let alone a cause and effect relationship between the intake of saturated fat as reported and indeed heart disease incidence as reported. So that's not going to work either.
A lot of modern studies that came after.
Okay, let's see if we can find out what is going on here.
Good like that.
Hello again.
Hey, they don't have your order.
Okay.
The last order they have from you is Monday.
Yeah, but the order is in your name, lovey, not mine.
Yeah, but how are they going to find it in my name if I'm not? What details have you given them? What phone number?
I gave them your phone number. I gave them your
My
email
phone
address. Let me see if I can find
Okay.
the order number even. It might still be... Oh, I wouldn't...
Yeah, an order number would be brilliant.
Yeah, okay. Well, I probably don't have that because it was going to get sent to you on your email address. And,
Okay, you
you know,
can try my phone number.
the payment was also made on your credit card, so it's all...
190
Yeah.
571.
All right. Anyway, we're dealing with Gil Carvalho live online, so...
Thanks,
Right.
Oh, because I'm talking on my phone.
Yeah. Okay. Right, well, I'll let you get off the phone then so
I'll
you can do
phone
it.
again if I need you.
Right,
Okay.
cool. Ah, the non-existent Bunnings order. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? Right, carry on.
That they were both right.
No, they were both wrong. In fact, there are no studies anywhere extant in the literature that can inform us on cause nor effect. None at all, still.
Both are risk factors. It's not
Risk factors is not the same as cause and effect, and risk factor is yet another term which is universally used inappropriately because risk implies mechanism. Mechanism is underpinned by cause and effect studies, or else pop yourself to fuck. Basic scientific discipline.
one or the other.
So this is from Keyes's own work. Partial correlation analysis show that with saturated fat constant, there
Correlation analysis, you say. This will be interesting.
was no significant correlation between dietary sucrose and the incidence of coronary heart disease. Okay. When you do a multivariate linear regression analysis,
Ah, there we go. I knew it was going to come up. Multivariate linear regression, you say. Okay. What that is, boys and girls, is you take an X versus Y situation, that which you observed, for 2 or more factors, and you'll get a correlation coefficient for each individual factor when that's the only thing you look at versus an outcome variable. Then what they do is they start removing the correlation value mathematically from the output of one factor at a time. And if removing that factor improves the predictive capacity of that line, it is accepted as part of the linear regression. And if it makes it worse, it's tossed out. So that's completely arbitrary. Secondly, that still informs us in no way, shape or form on cause nor effect, nor actually proportional contribution to the overall line, because it's a rich tapestry. It's a hard-baked outcome. You can't get eggs out of a baked cake. The first assumption of a multivariate regression line is that the factors, the cofactors, share no collinearity whatsoever. If you don't establish that that's the case, your multivariate regression is not valid as a predictor, let alone as a cause and effect inference. It's rubbish. And this, like a classic example of that is we took people's health outcomes, whatever that might be, and we adjusted that for age. Well, hang on, a person's age is collinear with any of the factors you could look at on heart disease. Ergo, you can't X that out of there and say that you can claim how much of that is cause and effect and how much it contributes individually. Cannot be done. So all you're doing is stacking X, Y, X1, Y, X2, Y, X3, Y, X4, Y on top of each other mathematically, and each one of those contains an error statement which adds to the total error of the prediction in terms of its reality and adjusts it further away from what was actually observed in reality. Scientists report what they observed, not some fantasy made-up outcome that they did not observe. It's a begging the question fallacy. What they are suggesting is that their prediction of what they would have observed, had they actually done some science and controlled some things, is what would have happened. And they don't know that because of collinearity of the cofactors. It's totally, completely invalid. And a competent statistician knows that.
You have to do it both ways. You have to do holding sucrose fat constant, showing that sucrose doesn't work, and then you have to hold sucrose constant and show that fat still works. You see that anywhere? He didn't do it. He didn't do it.
He did do it. Pretty sure.
Yeah, he did. He did a multivariate regression both ways, as Robert Lustig is talking about. But nonetheless, it's completely an inappropriate procedure. It informs us in no way on reality. It's in no way aligned with science. This is a ridiculous theology that they get away with passing off as science purely because most people don't understand it. And because it's published in a science journal, people accept that. Oh, well, the good scientists, the good adults at science said it's good, so it must be. No, it fucking isn't. It's rubbish.
Sure they did that. I think Lustig just missed it. So here's the full text. This is the study. This is the paragraph that Lustig is showing on his slide. It's the summary of a chapter. And if we look at that actual chapter where they describe the experiments, it's just a few pages earlier. They say, with saturated fat held constant.
Right, well, that means multivariate regression. That means a fabricated outcome which is at odds or not the same as that which was observed, i.e. not science. Okay? We're done.
The correlation between sucrose and heart disease is not significant.
Okay, again, significance on a correlation does not describe the strength of correlation. It describes whether the correlation value, however strong or weak it might be, happened due to dumb chance, parsimoniously, or not. It does not tell us anything at all about the prognostic value of the prediction line. In fact, it doesn't describe the reduction at all. Okay? It's just rubbish.
Okay, so this is the analysis Lustig was talking about. And then he's saying they didn't do it the other way around. But it's the very next sentence. On the other hand, with sucrose held constant, the correlation of coronary incidence with calories from saturated fat is R equals 0.62.
Right, which is exactly the same procedure. Holding something constant in these prospective studies means adjusting what was observed to something else that we imagine it might have been had we controlled that thing. I.e., imagining that we are able to pass out cause and effect or proportional cause and effect. We can't. Still, collinearity. Done. It's the first assumption of multivariate regression. Okay? So we're finished with that. That's rubbish. That's not science. That doesn't inform us in any way on anything.
So this is the exact analysis he's saying you need to do, and they didn't do it. They did it. It's right there. Okay, what do those numbers mean?
There you go. This will be interesting.
This R number is a statistical way of measuring how good a correlation is. So a correlation between two factors.
Yes. Two factors. Yes. And it doesn't inform us in any way on cause and effect, the outcome statistic, the R or R squared value. Yes, that's right. Two factors. The number of the counting shall be 2, X versus Y. And it only says this is how closely these two things covary. It does not say Why? It makes no statement about why. Sunburn and ice cream sales. Sunburn and shark attacks. Ice cream sales and shark attacks. Movies by Nicolas Cage and drownings in swimming pools. Fire crews and forest fires. Okay?
It could be someone's height and someone's weight, or someone's age and someone's height, for example. And you're looking at how well those two correlate in a population.
Or a subpopulation, a delimited subpopulation, in fact.
And so if the value is 1, it means it's a perfect correlation. Every time
Or minus 1 is also a perfect correlation.
one value goes up,
Everything in between is an imperfect correlation.
the other goes up. They mirror each other perfectly. If it's 0, it's no correlation. They are like random, right? No relationship. And so for sucrose and heart disease, it was 0.13. So that's a weak correlation. And if
Again, scientists don't use words like weak. The thing speaks for itself. It's R equals 0.13. On a scale that ranges between 1.0 and negative 1.0. The closer the value of R is to 0, the less predictive that regression sum is, the more error there is around that. So this is so close to no value at all as a prediction as to make no odds to anybody, irrespective of its statistical significance, which is a completely different metric.
in fact they say it's not significant, and then
Significance depends on the sample size. It has nothing to do with the value of the R statistic itself. Still.
for saturated fat and heart disease, it was 0.62. So that's a moderate correlation.
Again, scientists don't say moderate, and they don't need to say anything because 0.62 speaks for itself. It tells us that on a scale between 1.0 and negative 1.0, this is closer to one of those two ends than the middle being of no value and hard end at either end being the predictive value, either positive or negative. Okay? So we don't need your label, moderate or weak or strong. The number tells us by itself. That's what scientists do. They talk to us empirically.
Strong is usually above 0.7. So
That's arbitrary. Science is not an arbitrary art, except in setting alpha values, I suppose, because it is a bit positivistic in that regard.
moderate correlation. Now this doesn't prove cause and effect because of the type of study. Right? This is more of a hypothesis generating type of analysis.
Very good. You got something right.
But yeah, they did the analysis both ways. What he's saying is missing is right
You
there.
said that already, remember, Gil? Just a few minutes ago.
Do we believe this study? Because we based 30 years of nutrition, education and information
More than 30.
policy in this country on this study.
Not really, right? It's just kind of a meme on the internet that everything we know in nutrition is based on the 7-country study. And if we can show that it's a fraud, that it's bunk, then we can abandon everything and we can.
Coming up, is LDL good cholesterol? Let me preempt, no. Because LDL is not cholesterol at all. Cholesterol comes in one form and only one form, and it's neither good nor bad, it just is.
Say we know nothing about nutrition. That's
Well,
not
it's good in that it's required for life. If you have an insufficiency of cholesterol, you die.
true. The 7-country study is what we call hypothesis generating.
That's
So
what we call absolute, errant, excremental pap. It's what we call pseudoscientific crackpottery, nonsense, and offensive garbage, basically. That's what we call it.
comes up with these possibilities based on the data that then need to be tested in more rigorous studies of other kinds. And then the
Good luck getting ethics to do rigorous studies of other kinds on human beings as that relates to any hard health outcome and a nutritional intervention of any kind. Because you see, ethics committees don't tend to like experimentations on human beings. They tend to frown on that and say, no, we won't let you do that. Okay?
adjust for a bunch of other things. And then we have
You can't adjust and tell me you're doing science. Scientists report what they observe still.
randomized trials. And in general, you put all of this together, It consistently points to specific types of saturated fat and specific.
Okay, so once again, you're going to give us your opinion there, Gil Carvalho, based on absolutely no competent analysis of any scientific, statistical, or any kind of inference, really. It's just your opinion that you're going to give us. You're going to say there is strong evidence to support the claim that, but you're not going to provide any because, Gil, it does not exist still.
Specific types of foods, butter, fatty meats, lard, raising risk of heart disease when consumed in substantial amounts.
No, there are no studies informing on risk whatsoever. Yes, Mr. Beaumont, not having enough cholesterol can lead to neurodegenerative diseases because, well, the myelin sheathing around your neurons is made from cholesterol.
And refined carbohydrates also. And interestingly,
No, not for that either. I don't like refined carbohydrates. I think refined carbohydrates are a bad idea for a myriad reasons, actually, but not because there is any experimental evidence of cause and effect, except in that carbohydrates, when consumed, do have an effect directly on the blood glucose, shall we say. Okay? But in terms of hard health outcomes, that's where we're going to fall over if we want to start talking about cause and effect.
the magnitude of the risk for these two things seems to be about similar. Calorie.
The magnitude of risk you just said. There are no studies, Gil Carvalho, still that can inform us on the magnitude of risk of any outcome. None. Not one. Zero. Fuck all.
Per calorie. If you
Now,
replace
again, per calorie, you say, no, we've covered that. You cannot consume any calories whatsoever.
the saturated fat in people's diet with refined carbohydrate, calorie for calorie,
You can't do that, though. It's impossible to achieve with 7 or 8 PhDs in a highly controlled lab. And you still cannot consume any calories.
the risk of heart disease
No. Gil, no. No risk. No.
stays high. But if you replace either one with healthier fats, so unsaturated fats,
So are these numbers adjusted in any way, Gil? They are? Oh, good. So pop yourself to fuck.
olive oil, avocados, things like that, then the risk comes down.
No. False. Healthy user bias there, sunshine. Ever heard of it?
And if you replace them with quality carbohydrates,
So what Gil is now suggesting is that the only things that contribute in any way to a person's outcome risk, even though that's nonsensical garbage, the only thing that contributes is what kind of fats they're eating. Everything else is controlled, is what Gil is implying by omission of a statement, a clear statement that they weren't in fact, ergo this is purely a speculative associative data set, a hypothesis generating activity and not proof of anything. Poor Gil Carvalho, do better.
so unrefined, whole carbohydrates, things like vegetables or whole grains, the risk also
No, before you even say it. Again, no,
comes down.
no.
So it's not saturated fat or sugar. This whole debate,
There is no evidence that can inform us one way or the other on this in terms of science that you can look at, Gil Carvalho, and say this proves the point, because it does not exist still.
is misguided. It's
I'll
both.
tell you who's misguided, Gil. Basically just about everybody.
This is like arguing if diabetes or high blood pressure, which one is bad for heart disease?
They both are.
It's both.
Yeah, but that's not remotely analogous to what you're talking about. You're suggesting that you have evidence of cause and effect risk. No, you fucking don't. It does not exist.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, it has a hole as big as the one in the USS Cole. All right, you got it? Everybody,
We got it.
am I debunking?
Not really, Robert Lustig. You're doing a very piss poor job, actually. Really poor. I know this was 10 or 15 years old, but still, really, really not good. No wonder Gil's all over this, trying to make himself look better than he is, because he isn't much better, actually, as we're discovering as we go along, aren't we?
Yes, no?
No. You're criticizing a study that you're not really familiar with. You're saying they're missing a key analysis, and that puts a huge hole in the study.
The huge hole in the study, Gil, is as I've outlined. It is not an experiment. It cannot inform us in any way on cause nor effect, nor risk, nor hazard. It is a loose, uncontrolled, naturalistic observation which didn't even report that which was observed because it adjusted everything according to what the authors decided it might have been had they controlled anything that they couldn't control, because you can't do experiments on human beings. The invalidating hole in this work, Gil, is that it is not science at all. Yeah? Okay? Fuck, this isn't hard to understand, even if you are an imbecile, which Gil Carvalho clearly is.
And it's in the very chapter that you're looking at.
You've said that already, remember? I know I repeat myself, but I'm repeating myself in correcting the same errors over and over and over and over again as a begging the question fallacy. These imbeciles, these incompetent imbeciles, saying the same thing over and over and over and over again, and you're just expected to accept that it's true because they said so. Risk, they say. No. Cause and effect, they say, even worse. No. Not at all.
That's not debunking. That's the opposite of debunking. It's a little embarrassing, if I'm being honest. And it's good in science to disagree and to challenge things. That's what
science is all about.
Science is all about.
Shit, I'm agreeing with Gil again.
The beautiful thing about science. You can disagree with anyone. I just criticized the 7-country study. I said it's not very strong evidence.
It's not evidence of anything. It's nonsense. It's theology.
But first, we learn what's been done, and then we form an opinion, right? If we're just broadcasting random stuff to millions of people, and we're not even bothering to take a decent look at the study to see what they actually did, what are we doing?
Well, also, you could add to that, Gil, by saying if you're not competent to make such an analysis, which clearly, son, you are not, that would be another reason for you not to do it. You should shut down your channel and stop talking publicly to people about nutrition, because this is not an area of expertise for you, son. Not at all. Come and face me face to face for a debate where we can sort that out for once and for all, see whether or not I'm mistaken and you actually are competent. Or whether you're just part of a consensus of folks that think a certain way, fallaciously, about what they think science might be or might not be. Because I think we've already made it quite clear what science is and what it isn't, haven't we? Yes. So, more.
Type of thing where if we're face to face, this is 30 seconds. He brings up this point, they didn't do the analysis. I pull up the study, I show him the sentence, and we move on. And this doesn't take any scientific training. That's the crazy thing. I mean, 25 million people have seen this talk. It didn't take me 5 minutes to look this up. It's really not that hard to fact check these types of claims. It's just that we don't have the habit. I think most people...
Yeah, but Gil, you still fall about 1,000,000 steps short of actually providing us with a competent statement around this work. The competent statement around this work is, as I have formulated it repeatedly, not just dealing with your ridiculous nonsense, Gil Carvalho, but that of just about everybody out there who do not understand what the disciplines of science are, or the epistemology of how it is that science can be used for us to know things. Science is a positivistic, interventional, experimental procedure that has disciplines and rules. You cannot just do some work that's not even remotely close or akin to that, because you can't do the actual work, and go, well, that's the best we can do, that's as close as we can get, so we're just going to call that science anyway. It still fucking isn't. It does not qualify as such. It is not part of the work that has any place in informing us on anything. It is epistemologically totally inappropriate to use this claptrap as inference of anything. Still. Yes, it is. It's Dunning-Kruger, Fructose. Gil Carvalho is absolutely dripping Dunning-Kruger from every pore. It's incredible, by which I mean he has no credibility.
Watch something like this and either accept everything that's being said or reject based on their personal preference. That's understandable, but that's not how science works. And creating this habit of just...
So now Gil Carvalho is telling us how science works, when he's just singly failed in the last 15 minutes time in his video to explain to us how science works. Luckily, I'm here to do it for you, and I have done, not just in this video, kiddies, but repeatedly over a series of years. Isn't that right, Ted? Yes! Trust him. He's the science. Safe and effective he is. Don't question the science. Thank you, Ted. You can go back down there and twiddle the knobs. Good boy. Make sure the knobs are goodly twiddling. Yes. Ted is expert in many things. Knob twiddling is one of them. Ho, ho, ho. And also a bit of administrative correction for naughty people who are late. Yes, good. Good boy. You do your thing. Right, Gil, come on.
hearing something, not immediately saying yes or no, but going and checking the source. Sometimes it's literally 5 minutes and you learn a lot.
Literally is most literally overused word in the English language, literally. It adds nothing.
So everybody knows that LDL correlates with cardiovascular disease, and that's true.
But that's not true, Robert Lustig. Even that is not correct. Not meaningfully. The associations between LDL and heart disease are piss weak at best, and even then they are piss weak in selected subpopulations only.
True, and I'm not going to argue that. That is true.
But it's not true.
But it's not this one. Pattern A LDL. These guys...
Oh, fuck's sake, give me strength. Seriously?
are so light, they are buoyant, they float. So they get carried through the bloodstream, and they don't even have a chance because they're so big and they're so buoyant, they don't even get underneath the edge of the endothelial.
Oh my God, Robert Lustig knows absolutely nothing whatever about cardiovascular pathophysiology. There it is. Right there. Wow.
Cells in the vasculature to start the plaque formation process.
Yeah, so we now understand this isn't true. Probably wasn't as well understood when he gave this talk. But this idea that the large LDL are not problematic because they're too large to get into the artery wall doesn't pan out.
That's right. It's absolute rubbish. It's nonsense. Thank you for the 99 cents super sticker. Tabs. Appreciate it. That'll keep the lights on for positively moments. And I'm not knocking it, please. Absolutely do send us all your shekels that are spare, because we do have a 6-figure repair bill on Pimatia and only 5 figures from insurance. So you can do the math on that for yourselves. There's an order of magnitude wrongness there. Basically, insurance companies can suck my dick.
So, in fact, much larger particles than any LDL size can get in. They're particles called VLDLs, very low density lipoprotein, and VLDL remnants that are much larger than any LDL size, and they definitely cause heart disease, and they definitely...
No, there you see, you say something correct followed immediately by something demonstrably incorrect there, Gil Carvalho. No, they fucking don't. Wrong. Cause and effect, you just said. No.
Into the artery wall.
There's not even a decent association, let alone a cause and effect artifact. Still. Cardiovascular pathophysiology, A, is one of my absolute expertises, by the way. It's one of 3 advanced research degrees I hold is in that topic, so I do know a little bit about it. And B, it's clearly well above your station, Gil, because all you have in this regard is a classic allopathic physician's training, which you've never used, not one day in your life, to actually see any patients, have you, son? Wonder why that is.
So this idea that the large LDLs are too large is not true.
You said that, and I agree with you once again, Gil. It's rubbish.
Really interesting to look at an older talk and see what ideas stood the test of time and which ones didn't. And this is normal. We have these different theories and these different hypotheses, and with more evidence, things evolve, our knowledge evolves, and we figure out more.
Some evidence, you say, Gil. Where is this? Where is this evidence of which you believe exists?
That's normal.
So when you get an LDL, you're getting both LDLs, the neutral one and the bad one.
There are no such thing as neutral or bad LDLs. All LDL exists because it is encoded for by a length of DNA in every one of your cells, that DNA having survived every single challenge placed upon that, both positive and negative, for the entirety of the existence of those genes. So at least 3,800 million years, and probably a great deal longer than that. All right?
Power companies hate when you do this, but there's nothing they can do about it. There's a new portable cooling system that can...
Yeah, so this is probably wrong as well. This idea that the LDL sizes, the small LDLs are really nasty, but the large LDLs are neutral, as he said. This has essentially been abandoned in cardiovascular research. We've had a lot of guests in this field, and generally now, most people in this field hold that it doesn't make a big difference, the size of the LDL for risk. And then there's a subset of researchers, Dr. Ron.
Again, with the risk statements, there are no studies that can inform us on risk still. It's still an inappropriate term, and it needs to go from your lexicon. It does not help you. It does not make you look more credible. It does not make you look more knowledgeable about science. It makes you look like a schoolboy in short pants that ought to shut the fuck up. And I believe that that is the situation. Fructose says, isn't the current understanding that lipoproteins have to be deranged before or after entrapment to be one of the contributors to plague? I mean, I think you mean plaque. And derangements is from glycation and oxidation. Yes, pretty good. Your statement is ostensibly correct. Yes, but there's more to it than that. It's not that simple either. Alrighty, let's carry on, shall we?
Krauss being the most famous one, that do believe that there's a difference, that the small LDLs are nastier.
Who cares what any one given academic anywhere in the world believes? Do you have any scientific evidence, Gil Carvalho, linking lipoproteins with atherosclerotic lesion development in human beings of any kind? The answer is no, son, you don't, because it does not exist still.
But everybody agrees that the large LDLs are not.
Oh, everybody agrees, so it must be right. And who's everybody? Because I'm unlikely to agree.
Harmless, that they can still cause problems if they're too high.
Okay, cause, you say? Okay, where's your cause and effect data?
So this idea of the neutrality versus the harm has essentially been abandoned. And this is because studies...
Just because something's been abandoned doesn't mean it's wrong either. Science, remember, is an epistemology based on disciplined, experimental, controlled, observed, powered and tenured work in an appropriate population representative of that to which you wish to make your claim. None of that exists with respect to hard health outcomes in human beings, as that relates to any aspect of nutritional intervention of any kind over any period of time, anywhere on the planet still. How fucking hard is this to understand?
Don't back it up. So genetic studies don't back it up. Studies in populations that have high LDL but are not obese, are not diabetic, are not insulin resistant. So
insulin resistance, you say? Oh, that's for another day, perhaps. Now we're going to talk about alcohol. Okay, are we done with lipids?
Most of their LDLs should be of this large, buoyant kind.
Who says? According to whom? On the basis of what?
We still see plaque and we still see heart attacks in those populations compared to when they have normal LDL levels. So this idea of the large LDLs being neutral, being harmless.
Yes. For God's sake. The brain fog in these clowns is astounding, isn't it? The mindless circular repetition of the exact same thing again and again and again. I know I'm doing that in response to what they're doing, but pathologically I can't let an error go. I have to correct it every single time. These guys, though, they're not correcting anything. They're just talking in circles and repeating themselves. Fallaciously. It's a great word, isn't it? Fallacious. Let's all say it together. Fallacious.
Is almost certainly wrong.
Okay? And
according to whom, on the basis of what?
Notice that the triglycerides are low and your HDL is high. That's what you want. You want a low triglyceride, high HDL.
Says whom? According to whom, on the basis of what? Who says you want that?
Because that's the good cholesterol.
There's no such thing as good cholesterol, Robert Lustig. That is absolute fucking nonsense. There's no such thing as good cholesterol nor bad.
High good cholesterol.
No, it's not even cholesterol, idiot.
Now, we now know that HDL is not good cholesterol, it's not protective.
We also know it's not cholesterol at all.
There's an association. High HDL correlates with leanness in populations,
So,
correlates with more exercise, but it's not reliable because it also tracks a million other things. And
oh, right. Completely unlike low-density lipoproteins, which don't have those same flaws somehow. You buffoon? You fucking imbecile? My God.
so the whole field essentially moved away from looking at HDL as this major metric of risk. And actually,
Because there are no studies anywhere that can inform us on risk anywhere still. For fuck's sake.
it's moving away from lipid metrics in general and towards lipoprotein metrics like ApoB and things like that.
Which is also a wild goose chase and will be fruitless. Because those things don't cause atherosclerosis either, apparently.
As more reliable reflections of risk.
No, there are no reflections of risk. Still.
What did we do in 1982?
What did I do in 1982? I was 10. I watched New Zealand play in the Association Football World Cup. I went to primary school. I played my first game of cricket ever. Moved to Hamilton in New Zealand. But what did you do, Robert?
What did we do? We went on a high carb diet, which
No,
was
we didn't. No, I didn't do that.
supposed to be a low fat diet,
I didn't change my diet at all, I don't think, in 1982.
right? Right.
I ate what my mother gave me. Bless her.
So here's the low fat craze, okay? Took America and the world by storm because the content of low fat home cooked food that you cook by yourself in your house, you can control the content of fat.
Which is not going to have a good effect on your outcomes if you are limiting the intake of animal fat, because that's the very thing you're designed by natural selection pressures over millions of years to do.
But when you process it, low fat processed food, it tastes like cardboard.
Does it?
It tastes like crap. Okay?
Does it?
So the food companies knew that. So what did they do? They had to make it palatable. So how do you make it something palatable that has no fat in it? You add the sugar, right?
Yeah, this is a concern often with the very low fat diets is people often start eating more refined carbohydrates, probably because eating very low fat is difficult for most Westerners. And so they veer towards more refined types of carbohydrates. So yeah, that's a concern when people go very low fat. It's something definitely to watch out for.
Now, why did we remove fiber from our diet? We as human beings walking the earth 50,000 years ago used to consume 100 to 300 grams of fiber per day.
False. Absolutely false, Robert Lustig. Not true.
We now consume 12.
Well, that's 12 more than you need.
Why? What did we do? We took the fiber out.
So now this imbecile is going to tell us that the problem with processed food is the lack of fiber, with the begging the question fallacy suggesting that fiber is indicated health promoting or good for us in some way. It fucking isn't, apparently.
So why did we take the fiber out? Well, it takes too long to cook, takes too long to eat, and shelf life.
And can't be absorbed by the human metabolic system anyway, can't be digested, is of very little nutritional value of any kind whatsoever, and actually seems to be associated with vast increases proportionally in the incidence of various dysfunctions, which seem to be ameliorated completely, 100% in all subjects in the one study that actually looked at this that exists, such that the subpopulation in that study who reduced their fiber intake to 0 had complete remission, every single one of those subjects in that pool. A 100% rate of complete remission. Goodness me, that's interesting, isn't it?
Okay?
Notice how I stop there and I don't start talking about cause and effect. I just say, this is what was found. And you make your own decision about it, because I'm not claiming to have any science.
So people ask me, what's the definition of fast food? Fiberless food.
No.
Yeah, the
That's
evidence.
one way of looking at highly processed food, and yes, it does tend to be lower in fibre. But that's not the only thing that highly processed food has in its makeup that's very likely to be deleterious to human health, isn't it? Very, very good question, this one. Is it possible to visit Pimatia in New Zealand? Yes. Yes, it is. What you do is you send myself an email saying that you have an interest in doing that. Then you and I and this guy, and possibly Her Majesty Pim, Queen of Pirates, Mother of Puppies, the Unpoked, First of a Name, the Unfinder of the Bunnings Order. Not that that's her fault, that's Bunnings, that's at fault there. She'll probably want to be in that discussion as well, and we'll decide amongst ourselves whether you're the sort of person that we'd like to host for a period of time, whatever period of time that is, and you can come and do stuff here and we'll look after you while you're here. We might even let you leave at the end of it. Some people are allowed to, despite us claiming that this is the Hotel California. It's not really. Field Marshal Dave from the Meat Militia was here, and he's now not. Don't know where he is. He's AWOL. Anyway, let's carry on with this. Yes, you can come to Pimatia, so long as you don't have two heads. Or that if you do have two heads, that they're agreeable.
Evidence on concerns of low-fiber diets has only mounted.
No, it hasn't. Only with imbeciles, Gil. Only with people that don't understand science, physiology, discipline. That's just your opinion you're giving us.
There was already plenty back then, but
No, there wasn't, and there still isn't.
we have a lot more now.
No,
So
we don't, Gil. Still, a huge pile of turd doesn't mean that your pile of turd is of higher quality per piece of turd. It's still a pile of turd. And no, you do not have any evidence that fibre is a good thing in the human diet. No, you don't.
yeah, I completely agree with this concern.
Well, you're an idiot.
It's a big issue in the Western diet.
No, it isn't. Still.
Fructose does not suppress the hunger hormone. There's a hormone that comes from your stomach called ghrelin you've heard about already.
Yeah.
That's true. So
Yes,
there
it is, and I wonder why that is. I don't wonder, I know why. Let's see if they do.
is evidence that fructose doesn't have this effect of suppressing ghrelin. And so that would suggest that fructose is less satiating.
Yes.
But there's probably something else going on, because when we look at actual weight gain in human beings, given these different carbohydrates, so this
It's almost as if there are other things that play into a person's affect, their presentation in the universe, than just what they eat. Oh yeah. Confounds, covariates, collinearities, and the fact that we can't do science on human beings because ethics committees won't allow that. That's why we have such a speculative area of ring-fenced theology that idiots like Gil Carvalho seem to think they're competent to comment on publicly, which they're not, still.
analysis looked at about a dozen studies put together, and body weight was not significantly changed when comparing fructose to glucose or sucrose.
Yes, and did they control absolutely everything else? No, they didn't, so fuck right off. Yes, it is true that Ted likes to spend a lot of time down there twiddling the knobs, yes. Yes, he does. Don't you, Ted? Yes, I love to twiddle the knobs. It's so satisfying for everybody. Good, will you go and twiddle the knobs down there? Good boy. Good boy. And anyone else that wants to come to Pimatia and also have a turn at knob twiddling? Again, so long as Ted's okay with it, he might let you have a go with the knob. Other knobs, I mean, the twiddles, the buttons and things. Good.
Overall, they found that chronic consumption of fructose was neither better nor worse than calorie-matched sucrose.
Again, there you go, there's your problem. You cannot match calories even if you want to with 7 PhDs in a highly controlled lab situation. And in fact, the amount of calories consumed by any given person on any given day, anywhere in the universe is none at all still.
Or glucose. And they looked at a number of things: fasting glucose, fasting insulin, insulin resistance,
Looking at a bunch of things doesn't mean you've looked at any of those things competently, does it?
cholesterol, triglycerides, and they weren't any worse on the fructose.
According to whom, on the basis of what? What's worse in terms of any of those things? They're all just signals.
There's also analyses looking at blood pressure.
Ah, right, an actual hard outcome metric.
And if anything, the fructose seems a little better for blood pressure, but
In what way? On the basis of what, according to whom?
no big difference. I've seen 1 or 2 metrics where fructose seems worse, usually liver insulin
So a
resistant.
bunch of speculative stuff again there, Gil. Great. Can you actually point us to any fucking science at all, Gil? I know you can't because it doesn't exist, but that's my point. You should not be sitting there making out like it does exist. It fucking doesn't.
So because of the metabolism in the liver of fructose is different, fructose is probably a little harsher on the liver.
Sopanos, King of Tasmania, report to Ted after class for a jolly good administrative correction for being late to class. I won't have that. I won't have it, Harry Louse. You be on time for class, goodness sake. Yes, you're over there. There you are. Ha ha. Right, join me later for a bit of that. Yes. Well, you've been told. There you go, Harry. Don't show up late. All sorts of things happen when you show up late. Right, what's happening, Gil? Tell us all about it.
liver. So there's 1 or 2 metrics where fructose might be worse.
On what basis? According to whom? On the basis of what is what I'm saying. Says who?
In general, for body weight and for most
What the purple fuck is that, Gil Carvalho? In general. I thought you were here to tell us all about the science.
metabolic markers, it seems to be about similar to glucose or sucrose. The reason that matters is because if fructose is the special poison,
Well, it is, though. Have a look at its effect on the hepatic ATP concentration, Gil. Cause and effect concomitantly with a mechanism. This is not speculative, this is a fact.
like he's arguing in this talk,
Of course, the dose makes the poison, as does any poison. Nonetheless, the mechanism of the toxic effect of fructose on hepatic cellular ATP, that is an established mechanistic fact. Okay?
then you could just replace that with glucose and you'd be much better off.
Speculation, because you're not controlling all the collinearities, covariates, and confounders that destroy your ability to make that ridiculous fucking assertion, son.
But if they're about similar for most metrics, and they're
Metrics. Metrics. Surely, for a human being, the important thing is actual hard health outcomes. Or am I just being ridiculous?
both not great when purified, when refined in large amount.
So waffle, obfuscation, bullshit and jelly beans, incompetent, rattling on from an imbecile. Have you got anything worth hearing, Gil?
That doesn't work. That swap doesn't work. And you actually have to find something else, or you just have to reduce both of them.
VLDL, very low density lipoprotein. Now, anybody heard of that before?
Yes, I have. Being a cardiovascular pathophysiologist and all, unlike either Lustig or Gil Carvalho, neither of whom is a cardiovascular pathophysiologist. Interesting, isn't it?
Is it good or bad?
I mean, it's like me coming online and making comments about gynecology. No experience, but I'll take a look at it for you. Or Ted will.
It's bad.
Ted's a bit more interested in the knobs, though, than other things. He's fascinated with knobs, is Ted, aren't you, Ted? Good boy, good boy.
That's bad.
Hayley, why is dermaplaning such a big thing in skincare?
Dermaplaning gently removes peach fuzz and dead skin.
Right, that's enough of that.
Okay, VLDL is bad because that's one of the things that causes heart disease.
No, wrong. False.
Yeah, like we were saying.
No, wrong. False. There is no evidence of cause and effect extant anywhere in the literature still. No.
Earlier, right? VLDLs, he's acknowledging here, VLDL can cause heart disease.
No, it can't, Gil Carvalho. Give me the mechanism by which that could possibly occur. Shall we wait for that? Perhaps that's one of the things you and I can discuss live, face to face, when you grow a set and come and have a discussion with me, an actual scientist, about actual science, because it's quite clear that you don't have the first fucking clue about science, son.
Like many other particles, and VLDLs are much larger than any LDL size. So right here in his very same talk, this already contradicts the logic he was suggesting
No,
earlier.
it doesn't, because neither one of you is displaying any fucking logic at all, Gil, or competence to speak about science or cardiovascular pathophysiology or human anatomy, physiology, or nutritional requirements. You're both waffling inanely. You're both absolutely, completely and utterly out of your fucking lanes and out of your depths. Without a bloody lifesaver or whatever.
Here that the large LDLs are too large to get into the artery.
Oh my God. So let's repeat stuff we talked about 5 minutes ago again, instead of actually getting on and telling us something worth hearing on something. Repeating something that you had wrong 5 or 10 minutes ago that you've still got wrong.
And cause problems. Where the
Cause problems. Okay, where's your evidence of cause and effect? Or problems?
VLDL are much larger, so that doesn't make sense.
You've said this 100 times already in this video alone, Gil, probably. I know, for the millionth time, people are telling me not to exaggerate.
So we know that ethanol is not good for you.
We do know that, don't we?
Except, of course, a little bit is good for you, right?
No,
So we can talk about that too later if you want.
no.
So this has changed as well, this idea of the moderation that drinking a little bit of red wine is good.
Oh my God. So ethanol, ETOH, is now the same thing as is red wine, is it, Gil? No, it fucking isn't. I think you'll find that there's a bunch of stuff in red wine which may have positive effects that does not exist in ethanol, which is the subject of discussion right now. Fuck's sake, son. Right, what's going on here? Sadly, a decent number of people take Gil seriously. I know that. It stuns me. Basically, what it is, largely, is that if your IQ is as low as 100, which is stunning to me that anyone could have an IQ that low, but some people do, half the people in the world are stupider than that, because 100 is average. Basically, the problem is, on average, people are monumentally fucking stupid. That's what it is. Harry says he likes big butts and he cannot lie. Big butts and he cannot lie. Yes, that's what he said. Exactly that. Safe and effective. Good. All right, let's make some progress.
But not too much. This has changed. It seems to be mainly was probably an artifact.
Thanks for the super chat, by the way. I specifically acknowledge it being a super chat. It is a super chat. The $10 will be useful for something at some point. Thank you.
In some studies, and now the understanding is that the less alcohol, the better off we are. It's basically a straight line.
That's not an understanding. That's an assertion. That's an inference. An inference based on a linear regression between outcome and proposed input is not understanding. That's just reporting on what the association is. Sun, burn, and ice cream sales.
4 things we teach the kids to do and the parents. Get rid of every sugared liquid in the house, bar none. Only water and milk.
Well, hang on. Milk's got fucking sugar in it, Lustig, for goodness sake. Tell me that you know nothing about anything without telling me that you know nothing about anything. All you need to do is contradict yourself in one sentence. There you go. We're done, Lustig. You're an imbecile.
Okay? There is no such thing as a good sugar beverage.
Well, you just said milk's okay. Which is it, son?
Period. Eat your carbohydrate with fiber. Why?
No, don't eat carbohydrates at all, or fibre, in fact.
Because fiber is good.
No, it isn't. Still.
Fiber is supposed to be an essential nutrient.
It isn't, though. It's not a nutrient at all to speak of. You can get a small, and I mean very small, amount of short-chain, fully saturated fatty acids, by the way, from some enteric work done by some gribblies that live in your guts. Some fermentation. A little bit. That's it. Other than that, it passes through unchanged. That's the whole point. It's not a nutrient.
And we can talk later if you want, after the camera.
Let's talk now. Oh, we can talk about that later if you like. No, let's do it now.
Cameras turn off as to why fiber is not an essential nutrient. Because the government doesn't.
Why can't we say that with the cameras rolling? It's a fact. other than, you know, being cancelled for having wrong think. Big Brother is watching and stuff. This is 10, 15 years ago, by the way. This is not recent, you know, I'm worried about being cancelled. Interesting, isn't it?
Want it to be. Okay, because then they couldn't sell food abroad. Wait 20 minutes for second portions, okay, to get that satiety signal.
Sure.
And finally, buy your screen time minute for minute with physical activity. That's the hardest one to do. Okay? So if you play for half an hour, you can watch TV for half an hour. You want to watch TV for an hour, play for an hour.
Yeah,
Fine, okay, good.
this is really good advice in general. Avoid.
According to whom, on the basis of what? Gil and I agree again on that, but we're not backing that up with anything, are we? We're just saying, yeah, that sounds fine. Even better, stay off screens altogether, but not my audience. You stay on your screens, every one of you. Watch me on repeat. Binge watch me until the blue light kills you. That's your service to humanity.
Most sugared liquids. Yeah, by and large for a Western population, that's going to be soda, so that's going to be a good move. Eat your carbohydrates with fiber, wait for seconds and get some exercise in there.
This is just repetition for those people who didn't hear Robert when he said all these things just a few minutes ago. Thank you, Gil. I'm glad you're here to help those of us with IQs under 80 or attention spans less than a second.
Phenomenal. I mean, can't really fault any of that.
Eat your carbohydrate with fiber.
No, don't do that. Still, don't do either of those things.
That's why we say that. That includes sugar. That's why fruit's okay.
No, it isn't. Fuck's sake. Holy hell, are we serious? Is it possible that Robert Lustig is genuinely that fucking stupid? Wow!
Because number one, it limits how much fructose you're going to take in. And number two, it gives you an essential nutrient, which you needed in the first place.
No, it does neither of those things. There are no essential nutrients to be found in plant material. None at all.
And you get some micronutrients along with it.
Such as?
Absolutely nailed it.
There you go. If ever you wanted absolute proof that Gil Carvalho is an absolute fucking imbecile, not worth listening to whatsoever, there it is. Right there. Robert Lustig has just said a bunch of absolutely inane, ridiculous, stupid, nonsensical garbage, and Gil Carvalho's just said, oh, you nailed it. You fucking imbecile.
When someone is telling you about fructose, the number one thing they have to make clear is, are they talking about soda, high fructose corn syrup, purified artificial source of fructose, or are they talking about an apple? This is the...
Right, well, why don't you bring up the two diagrams of the two different molecules, because you're suggesting that these are different things. Let's see the differences between the fructose found in high fructose corn syrup and the fructose found inside fruit, shall we? Obviously, it's the dose that makes the poison. That's what we're talking about here. But Gil Carvalho is now suggesting that fructose is not fructose. It still fucking is.
The distinction between content that is scientific and content that is just...
Gil, you wouldn't know what science was if it bit you on the arse, son. Come and have a debate with me face to face and I'll prove that in front of millions. Well, thousands. I wish it was millions. Why don't I have millions of people viewing me other than, I'm not pleasant to everybody? Some people don't deserve being pleasant to, do they? People that have arrogance problems, ignorance problems, Dunning-Kruger problems, an inability to understand how vastly incompetent they are, and putting themselves forward as if they are competent, when it's absolutely clear and patent that they're nothing of the sort. Why should I be pleasant to these kind of people? Please, tell me why. No? Okay.
kind of guru on the internet saying absolute platinum nonsense.
Who's the guru saying platinum nonsense? You, Gil? Yes. Coming up, dairy. Is it anti-inflammatory? Let's see.
If it has scientific substance, this distinction will be made. And he was just very clear. He said this is why fruit is okay. He's specifically condemning high fructose corn syrup, soda, ultra-processed foods, right? When someone tries to equate this and say fructose has some evidence of a concern, therefore be scared of a banana or an apple or some strawberries, run. That is content with zero scientific substance. And he's
Yeah, but Gil, there is no scientific substance that you can tap regarding hard health outcomes in human beings of any kind over any period of time as that relates to nutritional intervention of any kind still. It is you who is incompetent to make a distinction between what is science and what isn't, clearly, because you are patently unable to do so. Patently. You are happy to believe that a fruit is good for you because you want it to be and you feel like it should be. You can't tap any evidence that that's so either. And you've just bagged Lustig, or people that say Lustig is wrong to say what he said. You know, it's quite clear you have no basis whatsoever that people should take you seriously. None at all. Is your offer of working on the farm in exchange for housing and food still standing? Yes, it is. It is, absolutely. All you need to do is send me an email. We'll have a discussion on Zoom. You, me, Pim, and this guy. They better be bloody impressive, I tell you. I want to see the knobs. Behave yourself, Ted. You've got enough knob down there to deal with, surely. No! Shut up, Ted. It's the last time I have you on the show. You can't get the help, boys and girls. But yes, you can come and help in Pimatia. Send us an email and we'll have a discussion on Zoom and we'll work out whether it's going to work and when and how so and why so and all of that. Yep, all good. Of course, we are the Hotel California. Anyway, right, swallow. That's for you, Ted. Swallow. Sorry, what? But how do you really feel about Robert and Gil? I think they're both imbeciles and they should both shut the fuck up permanently and stop making videos for the public. They're both completely out of their depth. I thought that was clear already. Yep. There is that. Absolutely. Yes.
Is calling fiber an essential nutrient,
Which it isn't.
is an interesting. I've never heard someone suggest that. That's something I would love to hear more about why he says that. In general, fiber is classified as non-essential.
That's because it is.
So I would love to hear more about that.
He probably thinks it's essential because of the short chain fatty acid that's produced, which you can get from other sources like butter or ketones.
On his views. But yeah, main thing here is that distinction between fructose from whole fruit versus fructose from Coca-Cola.
Yes, again, show us the difference between those two molecules. Shall we wait? Ken Berry's got a meme he's always putting up repeatedly from time to time, showing the exact difference between those two molecules, if you're unsure.
Okay, there's good carbohydrate and bad carbohydrate.
No, there fucking isn't. That's nonsense. Absolute errant pap. Excremental crap. Anti-scientific rubbish. False.
And glucose is good carbohydrate.
No, it fucking isn't. Not when you're talking about exogenous dietary glucose. No, it isn't. Wrong.
Glucose is the energy of life.
Oh, right, so fat doesn't exist then. Good.
Fructose, okay, is poison.
Oh, right. Actually, in our long-lost genetic past, some 5 million years ago or so, we used to eat quite a bit of fructose, actually. And not so much of the other sugars, like glucose. Isn't that interesting?
I know what he's trying to say. I would put this differently. I think it's less about these isolated molecules, the glucose and the fructose. I think it's more about the foods that they come in, because as he explained, fructose is a problem when purified in very high amount. It's not.
And indeed, when it's not, it can be a problem still, because of the effect that fructose has on hepatic ATP concentration, irrespective of the source of that fructose still. Obviously, it's the amount of fructose varying that can make a problem worse or less worse, betterer, I suppose. Nonetheless, though, fructose has the exact same effect per glucose, of the exactly identical fructose, irrespective of its source still.
A problem. in fruit, and glucose is not universally okay either. If we just replaced the fructose and soda with glucose, the evidence we have is that we wouldn't make it much better. It wouldn't make for
In
a...
fact, there is no evidence of any kind existing in that regard, Gil, at all. Once again, an incompetent statement from someone who knows nothing whatsoever about science. False.
superfood all of a sudden. So I think it's more empowering and more informative for the public to focus less on these isolated molecules and more on the actual foods. If it's soda, whether it's fructose or glucose, probably not going to be great. And if it's a whole food, whether it contains some fructose...
Parallels, what are you talking about, son? You're ball swimmers. Goodness gracious. Ball swimmers?
or some glucose, it's probably much better for you. Okay, let's look at something more
According to whom, on the basis of what?
recent. The main message of this talk, I agree with 100%. He's basically trying to alert towards concerns of high amounts of high fructose corn syrup, high amounts of soda. Yeah, big problem in our society.
Absolutely, yes. But that doesn't absolve your humble piece of fruit. It can be a problem depending on how many humble pieces of fruit you put down your gob every stupid day of your life. Paul salad, I don't know, for example.
I agree 100%. Let's check out something else.
The most important and the most valuable fatty acid is omega-3 fatty acids.
False. Wow.
Omega-3s are heart healthy,
False.
they're anti-inflammatory,
False. In fact, if anything, they're likely, especially if they're exogenously provided in the form of a supplement, to be the exact opposite. As per a study published by Her Majesty Pim, Queen of Pirates, under the name Janssen, Janson, comma, P, and some other bald person she was working with on that study, who showed reason to believe that, in actual fact, the opposite is probably more likely. It's in a journal called Nutrition, and it was published in 2018. It's called Omega-3 Oils and some other stuff. Those are your search terms, you'll find it.
they're anti-Alzheimer's
No, that's false too.
because they contribute to neuronal structure and function.
No, that's also false. See, even the sheep agrees that it's false. She also has many opinions on other things too. Generally, though, she phrases them in exactly the same way. I don't think she's learned any other songs.
And it has been shown that when you are omega-3 deficient, you get multiple diseases, including cardiovascular disease and depression.
Where do I even start with that? Shut up, sheep. We're talking about Harry's semen, apparently. Well, that's tasteful, isn't it? Let's talk about Harry's semen.
Yep, basically agree with that.
Oh, you're an idiot, so that's no surprise.
This is why walnuts, flax seeds, fatty fish are recommended, because they contain healthy fats.
So vegans can get
According to whom, on the basis of what, Gil Carvalho? Healthy fats, you just said. You want to back that up with anything at all? Do you notice how he didn't? There's a reason for that, kiddies. Staff, ladies and gentlemen, super intelligent shades of the colour yellow, don't forget us. Do I need to spell it out? It's because no such evidence exists. It's an opinion.
one kind of omega-3. There are three. They can get one kind. You can get one called alpha linolenic acid, or ALA.
When my team pitched the idea, I thought it was impossible. A pan that sears like stainless, lasts like cast iron, and does...
Meh.
However, the other two omega-3s, one is called EPA and the third one is called DHA. Those only come from marine life.
That's also utterly false, Robert Lustig. Not true at all. Completely false. Wow.
Algae make the omega-3s. The fish eat the algae. We eat the fish. We are getting our omega-3s third hand. Now,
So, and also you'll find that seafood is not the only source of DHA, EPA.
vegans don't eat fish. So I worry about vegans.
Why would you? It's Darwin in action. Let them go for it.
So they need to supplement.
No, they need to shut the fuck up, frankly. And they need to pull their fucking heads in, and they need to deal with their issues.
Vegans need to supplement. And the
You just fucking said that.
question is, will they supplement? Because fish oil still comes from fish.
Yeah, so vegans can get long-chain omega-3s preformed from algae supplements, algae oil, or they can get them from bivalves like oysters or...
Because they're not animals, are they, Gil? Fucking imbecile.
clams. That's controversial. Some people say that's allowed in a vegan diet in some...
Why would it be? They're an animal. Okay, the algae one, well, that's questionable too, because the kind of algae we're talking about generally is bacteria and not actually plant material. So they're not plants either, are they? Neither can you really strictly say that bacteria are animals either. Ah, the muddy waters full of algae.
We'll say it's not because it's an animal, but it's not sentient. Anyway.
Turns out saturated fat is not one saturated fat. There are two. There's even-chain saturated fatty acids, which are what's in red meat. And then there are odd-chain saturated fatty acids, which are what's in dairy. So it turns out the dairy saturated fat is actually anti-inflammatory.
I hope he's going to attempt to explain that, because that one's fascinating. Goodness gracious. Ah, dear. Yeah. Please explain that the Earth isn't flat. Okay, here it is. The Earth is not flat. Period. No explanation is required. It's so patently obvious to anyone with more than 2 brain cells that it doesn't even bear discussion. Anyone who genuinely thinks the Earth is flat is not worth my time or effort, and that includes Goatus/Spheriae, spelt with a 3. Absolute fucking imbecile. I have no time for imbeciles except in responding to their nonsense in the style I'm doing today. Although I am, as I've said, perfectly happy to have a debate with Gil Carvalho just to point squarely to his absolute destitution of the first clue of anything. Just to publicly humiliate this boy. I'll even do it politely if that's what he needs me to do. Or as politely as possible, given that I will be pointing squarely to the fact that he's an absolute fucking imbecile. Right, what's next?
Whereas red meat saturated fat is not.
Okay, great. There's a big claim. Red meat saturated fat is not anti-inflammatory because of the chain length in some way, whereas dairy saturated fat is anti-inflammatory because of a different chain length. Good. Explain that to us, Robert. I'm waiting.
But it's not pro-inflammatory either. In converse to what Ansel Keys told us.
Well, who cares what Ansel Keys had to say on any topic?
So, saturated fat.
No explanation of that? Wow. We're just expected to just suck that lollipop, are we? Goodness gracious. What are you saying, Dave? What are you saying? You've got a soft spot for Lustig. Lustig is a soft spot, clearly. Idiot. Sorry, Dave. This man is... I've not watched much Lustig before, but I'm not impressed. Not remotely impressed with this guy at all. He's no more impressive than his Gil.
Neither good nor bad from that standpoint.
But we're still waiting for a fucking explanation, Robert Lustig, of what you've just claimed about inflammatory effects, so you say, on saturated fats based on their chain length. What is it? No? Okay.
Dairy saturated fat, actually good.
You've just said that. It was an opinion the first time you said it. It's still an opinion because you haven't actually underpinned it with anything. Let's move on.
Okay, so he's making a good point here that saturated.
So now he's making a good point. According to the world's expert in science here. Fuck me, do you people see why I get terse with these absolute fuck monkeys?
Fat is not one thing. Sometimes it's discussed as this block, but it's actually lots of different saturated fatty acids.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably like a dozen or something. Mm-hmm. He's breaking it down into two categories, the even chain and the odd chain. That's fine. But
we heard him, Gil. We were here, remember? We have ears too.
He said the even chain is what's found in red meat.
Yeah, we heard that too when he said it, remember? Just a couple of minutes ago. We do have ears. Still.
And the odd chain is what's found in dairy.
Yes, we heard that too the first time.
That's not quite true. Dairy has both odd chain and even chain and much more even chain. So the odd chain is a tiny, tiny percentage of the saturated fats found in dairy. So I looked it up. It's about 1 to 3% of the fats in there are of this odd chain type in dairy. And so the even chain are much more prevalent. In milk, it's about 10 times more, and in butter, it's about 40 times more. So it's dozens of times more. So the saturated fats in the dairy are still predominantly of the even chain kind. All of this stuff, in my opinion, is not that helpful for the public because...
You still haven't given us any reason to believe for 1 second that the chain length of a saturated fatty acid molecule has a meaningful effect on its inflammatory nature or otherwise. You've waffled inanely. You've repeated what he said. You've corrected part of what he said, but not before repeating what he said first, unnecessarily.
When we talk about these isolated fat types, how does this help people figure out the overall effect of the food, right?
Well, effect is the conjugate still of that other thing, isn't it? Cause. So the way we figure out cause and effect, Gil, via science, via an epistemology that we understand, a disciplined approach to that, is an experimental, interventional trial with a correct subpopulation, properly randomised, properly selected, properly tenured and properly powered. Do you have any of those that we can look at? No still? Okay, pop yourself back to fuck.
You go to the store and they want to know if I eat butter, if I eat olive oil, if I eat a steak, what's the health effect? And talking about these isolated molecules, it's scientifically interesting and relevant, but as a bottom line for the public, it can be very confusing. And so when it comes to health effects, he's focusing here on inflammation. If you heard
effects again would be the conjugate of cause still, and ergo there would be nothing to underpin such a claim of effect as it relates to any aspect of human nutrition still.
Specifically talk about the effect on inflammation.
Okay, well let's have the details of that.
Which is okay, but foods do a ton of other things. He talked a lot earlier.
Oh, so now you want to say covariates, confounds and collinearities go when it suits you. The very things that you showed absolutely no understanding of previously, now suddenly they are relevant. And you actually have said nothing, whatever, about the inflammatory nature or otherwise of any saturated fatty acid based on its chain length. We're still waiting for that.
About how this high amount of...
Well, if nothing else, Ted's knob twiddling service is, well, it's around the public health of those in Pimatia, really, isn't it? Somebody's got to do it.
Fructose, this high amount of high fructose corn syrup can cause fatty liver, and that can be an issue, liver metabolism. Well, we have trials replacing that calorie for calorie.
Again, you're repeating yourself from earlier. You didn't get it right earlier, and you're not going to get it right still, Gil.
With saturated fat rich foods like butter or coconut oil, and the fatty liver gets worse. The liver gets even fattier.
Okay, so here's a study that talks about harmfulness when it doesn't look at any hard health outcomes of any kind. It's looking at metabolic markers. So it's invalid in that regard. This is not an experiment. It's not properly controlled. It's not properly tenured. It's not properly powered. It's not properly observed. This is a piece of theology dressed up as science.
Those saturated fats. like substantially worse, like almost twice as bad.
According to whom, on the basis of what?
So we have to look at all of these effects. And this
Okay, in fact, it's still the conjugative cause. Do you have any experiment skill? No, still? Okay. Fuck off then.
is why, in general, when it comes to dairy, fermented dairy like yogurt tends to be recommended at the top.
Well, who cares what's recommended? Because recommendations can be at odds with what's actually good for us, can't they? That's happened before. Can't think of when, ever, but I'm sure it must have happened at least once, somewhere, at some time, maybe? Don't know.
It's like milk tend to be more in the middle, more neutral, and then butter tends to be discouraged.
Gil, write yourself a script before you start speaking, son. Stick to your script. Have your information to hand, have it ready. Get yourself organised, for goodness sake. Even better, write yourself a script that you repeat to yourself daily. It goes like this. I, Gil Carvalho, am not competent to comment publicly on science. Write that out 1,000 times and then come online and read that out. It'll be the first accurate and correct indicated statement I've heard come out of your gob. Okay? Do that.
In high amounts.
Now, omega-6 fatty acids are what are found in seed oils.
And nowhere else. Wrong again, Robert Lustig.
So soybean oil, etc.
There are omega-6 oils to be found in saturated, or largely saturated, fat of animals. In other words, the saturated fat that animals provide actually contains quite a bit of unsaturates as well. Isn't that interesting?
They are pro-inflammatory.
According to whom, on the basis of what? I'm not disagreeing with that statement as an opinion, but do you have any evidence that it's so? Experimental evidence.
Okay, omega-6s are the precursors, so like linoleic acid is omega-6. They are the precursors of arachidonic acid, and arachidonic acid is the precursor to all of the pro-inflammatory cytokines, thromboxanes, icosapent.
So now we're just left to the assumption, on the failure of any statement to the contrary, that inflammatory cytokines are bad, okay? Universally bad, okay? They have no role to play. That's why they're encoded for by a length of fucking DNA that survived the entire history of the existence of DNA. Do these people engage their brains for even 3 seconds before they open their mouths? It seems like they don't.
Leukotrienes, okay, all, things that generate inflammation.
So this logic is...
No, things that are involved in the inflammatory process. That's different from generating inflammation, isn't it? Yes.
Basically wrong. I'm surprised to hear this from him. So his reasoning here is linoleic acid, this omega-6 that's abundant in seed oils, can be converted into this other thing called arachidonic acid.
We heard what he said, Gil.
And that can then produce pro-inflammatory molecules, so the seed oil should be inflammatory. The problem is arachidonic acid also gives rise to anti-inflammatory molecules, right? The same pathway. So we can't just guess, gut feeling which way it's going to go. We have to
unless, of course, we're talking about something that you agree with, Gil, like so-called LDL, so-called cholesterol and heart disease. Because that's exactly the same level of ridiculous speculation. Because that doesn't involve any experimental scientific backing either. So you're a fucking hypocrite as well as an incompetent little boy, aren't you? I'm glad we're getting to the end of this because I've just about had a fucking gutsful, frankly. Thank you for the $5, fully laden swallow. Knob replacement specialist, no, but I would like someone to come and pay some attention to the knobs around here. They all could do with some attention, frankly. Are there any knob specialists out there? Anyway.
actually test. Look at what happens in people who eat seed oils. Does inflammation go up, down, or sideways? Also, they've shown...
and then understand that there are no studies that are able to control enough covariates or even close to make any kind of statement around that or do any science around that whatsoever, because ethics committees still don't like experiments on human beings, Gil.
that the levels of arachidonic acid, that conversion, it barely budges, even with massive changes in intake of linoleic acid of like several fold up or
And
down.
was every other confound, collinearity, or any of those things controlled in any way, shape, or form? And any of those are inferential looks at things. No, Gil, they weren't. So shut the fuck up, you ignorant boy.
Down. And so this whole logic is just theory that doesn't
Completely unlike your theoretical logic, which is just as theoretical and just as lacking in actual logic, actual disciplined epistemology of any kind.
pan out in reality when we look at actual scientific data and
You wouldn't know actual scientific data if it came and bit you on the ass still, son.
scientific tests. We have a whole video going over.
Oh, you have a whole video? Well, it must be good then if it's a whole video. God.
I think a dozen or 2 dozen trials.
Trials, you say?
Randomized trials in human beings.
Randomised trials? Yeah, there's a bit more than just randomisation that's required to make a trial valid, isn't there, Gil? What are the other factors that need to be properly undertaken by scientists? Do you even know? Have you ever actually done any science? No, it seems like not, even though you've got a PhD. I can't find a single peer-reviewed publication in your name, son. I wonder why that is. How about the fact that you've not done a single day's work as a doctor, even though you've got the MD qualification as well? What about that?
Giving people seed oils and measuring inflammatory markers and seeing what happens.
Markers, you say? Well, good. Markers.
Essentially, most trials showed no effect. A few actually show a reduction of inflammatory markers when they receive the seed oils. That whole literature is summarized here by these authors. So they...
Oh, God. So this is an opinion piece. This is not an experimental piece of science. As such, its ability to inform us with any utility on any topic whatsoever is about 2/3 of 7/9 of 8/12 of fuck all.
say concerns have been raised about linoleic acid being harmful because of potential pro-inflammatory
See,
effects.
concerns and potentiality. That's not science.
This is exactly what Lustig was voicing. However, this speculation is not supported by randomized controlled feeding studies.
Neither is it refuted because none of those things exist. The word there that's being used inappropriately is controlled. Because you can't control human beings, it's unethical. Ethics committees will not fucking allow it still. All right? Why is it so hard for these absolute asshats, these cocklunchers, these fuck monkeys? Why can't you get your head around this? Science in this field does not fucking exist. Still.
Linoleic acid was not found to increase inflammatory markers. So we always have to be careful trying to jump from a biochemistry textbook to try to guess what the effect's going to be in a human being eating.
Unless it's something you agree with, Gil, like LDL so-called, and heart disease. Because you do that, you jump from a textbook to real-life application with just as many leaps of faith, don't you, son? And you're just as in error as he is on this, aren't you, son? Wow.
Of food. Very common mistake, and I think regular viewers of this channel at this point can probably see through this.
So why can't they see through you doing the exact same thing, Gil? Other than their theological belief structure doesn't allow them to accurately see the truth of what's right in front of them. It's fascinating, isn't it? Human nature.
And the problem is the more omega-6s, the more chronic inflammation.
Well, that's not true either.
Actually, speaking of chronic, with longer follow-ups, following people for over longer periods of time.
So for even less controlled studies, naturalistic observations that are still not science or even closely akin to it, go on, Gil.
The effect actually becomes...
Effect, the conjugate of what? Let's all say it together. Cause. How do we get at cause in science, kids? Does anybody out there know, or have I been wasting my time for the last 7 years? Jesus H. Christ on a bicycle. Just insane, inane, and unbelievable that anybody would listen to this absolute asshole here as if he knows the first thing of what he's talking about. Wow.
Stronger in the opposite direction. So in analyses of studies where people...
An analysis of studies. So this will be an opinion piece then, won't it?
People were followed for up to decades.
Followed, were they? By whom? Who followed these people? How granular was this following? Did they observe them every second of the day? No? We're done.
Linoleic acid intake is associated with...
You mean what they told the authors that they were intaking on a respondent survey response form? That's quite different from what they actually did do, isn't it, Gil? Which they would have known had they actually done an observation, which they're claiming to have done. Follow-up, they say. Or these people were followed. No, they weren't.
with lower inflammation. So C-reactive protein, IL-6, IL-1 beta, these are inflammatory markers.
Yeah,
You
markers. So what?
tend to see them lower in people who consume
No, people who say they consume, not the same thing.
more linoleic acid, more seed oils, long term.
Oh my God, this is just appalling, isn't it? Incredible. What kind of scientific literature is properly made and that we can trust? Nothing in the field of human nutrition or human health studies. Nothing at all. None of it. Sometimes I get a little lost when understanding biochemistry. Ah, well, don't we all? I understand RCTs are not properly made either. Good. Then you understand what my problem is here, or my statement is. There is no science to which we can refer or tap. There is nothing to go to. There is no one that can sit there and say, I've got the answers. There is no one that can sit there and say in any of these things and be taken seriously by anyone that I've spent the last 7 years training. Okay?
So the evidence we have actually points to the
The
opposite.
evidence that we have, Gil, in this regard, is none. There is no evidence. Either way, we have theology. We have sectors of the so-called scientific fraternity who will take a standpoint based on theology. But what we do not have, Gil, is evidence. Still.
Of these ideas, right? The longer you follow, the more you look at chronic intake, the more
Well, they're not looking at chronic intake still. They're still looking at respondent survey data. This is still nothing even closely akin to actual science, Gil Carvalho. Still.
more the evidence points.
Still not evidence. Ah, where am I up to? Talk amongst yourselves. I pressed the wrong button.
Lighter outdoor power equipment.
Deaths, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. And it was about 11 for effect.
And that's bad for you every which way. And, will ultimately lead to early demise.
No, false. That's making a prognostic statement on the basis of absolutely no experimental evidence of any kind. It's just as inappropriate as a vegetard doing the same thing.
We have evidence on that as well.
No, you don't, Gil. Still.
Early demise, mortality,
No,
right?
you don't. Still. Absolutely no, you don't.
And it goes exactly in the opposite direction.
No, it doesn't. It does no such thing, because what you're going to tap here is not evidence of anything to do with cause and effect on longevity as that relates to the intake of anything. Still.
Higher linoleic acid intake,
Again, you mean that which people report.
either by asking people about their dietary
There you go. Thank you. We're done. Fuck off.
habits or by actually measuring their blood levels. Both methods were linked to modestly low
So measuring someone's blood levels of something that the body can generate itself as a marker of what you've been taking in. And even if you did make a valid test of someone's blood levels, how many times did you do that? Every single day of their lives? Multiple times a day, so you can get to the area under the curve, the magnitude of exposure? No? Wasn't done? Impractical? Am I being unreasonable? No. What I'm saying is extraordinary claims require an extraordinary quality of evidence, which does not exist still. So sitting there and claiming that it does is irresponsible disinformation, and it needs to stop, Gil Carvalho.
lower mortality from all causes, so that's total deaths, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. And it was about 11 to 13% reduction in mortality.
No, it wasn't still. And even if it was, that's nothing. I mean, just brushing over this without actually going over the multiple, vast milieu of reasons why this complete garbage is totally scientifically inept, inapt, and inappropriate to tap at all by anyone wanting to be taken seriously as a scientist. It's beyond a joke. It's beyond laughable. It's ridiculous.
Some studies have also looked at cooking with these different fats and compared to people who cook with
A prospective cohort study. Are we done? Yes, we are. We're finished. Doesn't matter what it says. It's a fabricated fantasy. It's adjusted. It's not what was observed. We're done. We're finished. That's not science.
butter, for example.
It's not a controlled experiment. Fuck off. The epistemology of science in terms of cause and effect, or risk or hazard, requires the appropriate level of scientific discipline. Sadly, our ethics do not allow it, neither do practicalities nor finances. We are done. Here. Still.
Those who cook with corn oil, canola
Those who report that, you mean?
oil, or olive oil, all three had lower total mortality. So we actually see...
And that was the only thing that affected their mortality in their lives, because everything else was absolutely controlled, was it? No, it fucking wasn't, was it? We're done.
that people who consume the most linoleic
You mean people that said they did?
acid, the most omega-6s, they have lower mortality. They go on to die
No, they don't particularly. And even so what?
later. So that theory that it should lead to early demise, the evidence is actually pointing to the exact
No, there's no evidence still, Gil. It doesn't matter how many times you say what the evidence says in your feeble opinion. That doesn't change the fact that there is, in fact, no evidence still.
opposite. Later demise.
Algal oil is DHA, but algal oil is not a source of EPA. You can get your ALA from...
Yeah, but the human body can convert DHA to EPA quite effectively, Robert. Unlike ALA, which it can't.
From your vegetables. You can get your DHA from algal oil, but you're still going to be EPA deficient.
Yeah, this depends on the brand. Some brands are definitely low on EPA, but there are some out there that have plenty. So I'm looking
How
at...
much is plenty, Gil? According to whom? On the basis of what? And have they seen that study published by Pim, Queen of Pirates, around why it is that omega-3 oils are probably not a good thing to put into your body from supplemental sources?
Some fish oil has about
Sorry, I should say Pim, Queen of Pirates, and her co-worker, some bald guy. What does he know?
360 milligrams of EPA for the daily dose.
Yeah, so what?
Ballpark, right? And so some algae brands are very low. Some I'm seeing 400, even higher than 400 milligrams a day. So that would be higher than what you normally see.
Oh my God, does this boy really think he's making any kind of a point here worth hearing? He does. That's the sad thing. He thinks that what he's doing is providing good, well-balanced information to people. He's Dunning-Kruger on legs. Gil Carvalho is an incompetent buffoon who should shut the fuck up about this topic publicly. He's got no business in here at all. He's got a medical degree in allopathic physician's work, doctoring work, which he's never used, not one single day in his life, it seems. And he has a PhD in neuroscience. Not physiology, not nutrition, none of those things. He's out of his fucking lane.
In fish oil. The one I have sitting around the house has 300 milligrams of EPA for the day.
I think you'll find, Gil, that any supplement, be it good for you or otherwise, will not have the effect on your body that it should, one way or the other, if it sits around your house. You need to take it. And that's true of the fine products made by the fine folks at the Cereal Company. Stem Enhance Ultra, your natural body's renewal and repair process, adult stem cells. That encourages that, this product encourages that process of releasing you adult stem cells. Isn't that great? While you're there, you can have an anti-inflammatory, if you like, Cyactive, that's good, and plasma flow, a blood flow optimizer to let all of those things get to where they need to be instead of you being all chocked up with fibrin and stuff because you're inflamed. Isn't that awful? Awful? I mean, awesome. It's not awful, it's awesome. What's awful is paying for it if you don't need to. Okay? If you want to pay for it, great. Love customers. You guys are awesome. And you can do that at bkaynutrition.cerule.com, which you'll find at the bottom of your screen right now. Just click on that link and say, I want to buy some product. And those are the ones I want to buy. And I'll say, thank you very much. And so will your body, because it's great. It does what it says on the tin. If you don't want to pay for it, then you should join as an IBO instead of as a customer. Set up 3 customers of your own, and then yours is free, basically. Terms and conditions apply. But that's the basic gist of it. Cerule is awesome. It's changed my life entirely, both health-wise and financially. I wouldn't have been able to buy a farm otherwise, ever. Neither would I be able to, well, stay sane in the face of this flooding and stuff we've had this year and the mayhem and destruction that's occurred. So, there it is. Go and get your Cerule. It's good stuff. Or else, if you don't want to get Cerule, you'll get a visit late night from Ted. And he won't be bringing his knob twiddling equipment. He'll be bringing that bucket of soapy frogs and that wetsuit with the bottom cut out. He'll also have his rampant wildebeest with him. You don't want that. Trust me. Okay, right, that's the bills paid. Now let's find out more about Gil's house supplement.
Daily dose of algae oil. So yeah, this is a good tip to bear this in mind because it varies a lot, but you can get around it. Also, there's some decent conversion from DHA.
It seems like Harry has read the paper published by Pim, Queen of Pirates, and that bald guy. Whatever his name is, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Aldehydes, you say? If you haven't read it, you probably should, folks. It's a good read. I know. I might have had something to do with it.
To EPA. So it's not as much of an issue as it is going from the small omega-3s, the ALA that comes in walnuts, going from that to the long form, the EPA, DHA.
Also, it's hilarious when you look at the front cover of that study published by Pim and co-worker that I'm talking about that talks about alga oil. It suggests that her qualification is MSc and that my qualification is MSc, which is a problem because I hold 3 advanced research degrees and none of them are an MSc. Isn't that interesting? Oh well, shit happens. And I know you've read it, Harry, because you'd do everything I tell you, wouldn't you? Including take advice from this guy. Remember when you let this guy come on your live stream, Harry, and he completely took over the show? If you haven't seen that, you should go and see it. It was hilarious, wasn't it? Ted was, he was unstoppable that day. Mainly because I wasn't allowed to appear on camera because I was banned. That's another story for another day. Memory lane. So good. So good.
That's harder because it requires a large elongation. But DHA is actually a little longer, I think by 2 carbons.
I'll tell you what's long, Gil. Our suffering. Sitting through your pustulous, excremental, ignorant, Dunning-Kruger, dripping fucking nonsense. That's what's long. That and Ted's gear. Ask Bella. She'll tell you. So
going from DHA to EPA, you actually go remove 2 carbons. And the conversion there is much more effective. I think you can get up to 20% or so. So even if you're not getting enormous amounts of EPA, there's some decent retro conversion there that's probably going to...
Decent, according to him, on the basis of what?
Top you up. Okay, guys. So overall, his main message, concern of large amounts of ultra-processed foods, junk foods, high fructose corn syrup, absolutely spot on.
Yep.
So important for public health.
Yep.
It's a shame, in my opinion, that he dilutes that main message with some really, truly weird takes here and there. Every 10 minutes or 15 minutes that you listen to him, there will be a bizarre take trying to debunk...
According to you, Gil, a person who does not have control or grasp of the basic tenets of the disciplines of scientific epistemology. Neither, son, do you have a grasp at all on your vastly overinflated ego. It's incredible. You have no credibility whatsoever in this space. Nothing you have to say is backed by actual science. It's all theology that you've chosen to believe. It's disgraceful. It's incompetent. It should stop, as should you.
A whole study in making such confident, aggressive claims.
Aggressive? I'm the one being aggressive here, apparently. Not Lustig, nor you.
Without really going through it, without really familiarizing himself with the study and what they did.
You've said that, remember, along with everything else you've already said.
Is such a fumble, such an amateurish mistake.
Says the boy who keeps saying cause and effect, risk and hazard, on the basis of studies that are unable, singularly unable, to inform on any of those topics. That's a schoolboy fumble. And you're a schoolboy. A schoolboy with a lot of qualifications, none of which you've ever used professionally, except to put them in front of your name, or after your name, I should say, in making vastly inaccurate claims on the interwebs about health, nutrition, cholesterol, heart disease, and on a bunch of other topics I've seen you make vast errors on. Come and have a debate with me, son. It'll be great. You'll love it. So will your audience. They'll be so angry with me. You'll get such a visceral response. You'll get viewer numbers out the arsehole. It'll be awesome. It'll be great. Show up. Anytime. Send me an email. I'll even be polite to you, to your face, if you want me to. It's not hard to do. Well, it is, but I'll do it.
And it's so unnecessary. It takes away from the credibility and the impact of that whole...
Says a boy with no credibility. Okay, well, we're not interested in your take on credibility, Gil, because you have none. Minus several million credibility points, in fact.
Whole talk. Like, I don't know why he included that in there. And then these takes on the fats, some are spot on, some are so superficial. Some of these things are like 5 minutes on the databases to figure it out. So there's a bit of...
No, some of these things are 5 minutes on the database to find out that there is no way to tease out the actual answer. And you don't understand that, Gil. You are just as incompetent as Lustig, if not more so.
A pattern here of making these absolutely confident, rock-solid claims.
I'm the one that makes confident, rock-solid claims, and I'm still waiting for any one of you fucking buffoons to trip me up on anything of any meaning or any value at all. Because I make sure that what I say is correct before I say it, and unassailable before I say it. And because I discipline myself to refrain from making statements that are not supported by science. It's kind of a skill I have.
Sometimes with very superficial understanding without bothering to look things up.
But looking things up won't give you an understanding, Gil. Looking things up will give you a take on somebody else's opinion. It's not until you understand the actual method of the epistemology of science, as I do, being a well-published scientist in my own regard, that you realise how poor the work is that's been done that purports to be science when really it isn't. You want an official Bart K according to whom, on the basis of what t-shirt and coffee cup? Tell you what, send me proposed designs for such a t-shirt, and if they're good, I'll put them up on the shop. There you go. And I'll even pay you a commission on the sales, which won't be much because my entire merchandise sales last month was $14 or something. I must have sold a mug or a t-shirt. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your support. Right, anyway. I'm kidding a bit. But support me more, fuckers.
I wish he wouldn't do that. I wish he would resist the urge.
Yeah, I wish a lot of people wouldn't do a lot of things, Gil, including you open your fucking ignorant mouth publicly to talk about shit you don't know fucking anything about. That's what I wish. Do we all get to have a wishing well? How many wishes do I get granted today? Because you'd be on the list of people that I would silence publicly. I believe in free speech. I think free speech is a great thing. But nonetheless, I'm not suggesting you should be silenced by some kind of mandate from someone. I'm suggesting that you should just be silent because you are absolutely incompetent. You have no business professing to know anything about the topics that you talk about publicly on your channel, Gil. Nutrition Made Simple. You don't know dick about fuck regarding nutrition or science or physiology. You are as ignorant as the day is long. It's incredible. And so are you. by which I mean lacking in credibility entirely.
Do that and focus on his main message, because it's so.
I think Gil's done. I'm certainly done listening to Gil. That's perfectly enough of that. That really only leaves one thing to do. You know how it goes, boys and girls, don't you? Ted, perhaps, will help us today. And, of course, the thing...
So crucial.
Shut
Here's
up.
another one of my recent fact checks
Shut
where I
up.
look at the glucose goddess.
Shut up. We don't want to hear anything more from you. Anything at all. Just appalling. Just appalling. All right, let's get rid of that. Let's bring about the thing that needs to be brought about, and that, of course, is the singing of the national anthem of Pimatia, which goes a little bit something like this. Steak and eggs and steak, that's what you should have for your breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. I think they got it, Ted. Join me next time when someone will be an imbecile on the interwebs, because it doesn't look like slowing down, does it? No. Don't forget those that need a bit of... From Ted down the back, because you were late. Report to Ted for being late. Yes, report down the back.